Hi, it's Sean, the Fluency Awesomeizer. I'm back with another video where I want to take a few minutes and help you decode big words and give you some spelling tips to carry around up here to use when you need them. I've got two words I want to look at today, and these are some big words. All right, so let's get ready. I'm about to show you the first one. It's, like I said, these are big words. I'm going to get out of the way. I'm about to show you this word. I want you to read it right out loud to whoever you're there with. All right, hit pause if you need more time, but what's this word? Both of these words are really big and very tricky and also very similar. The top word is insufficient. Down below is insignificant. And I'm going to take a few minutes and illustrate for you how you can confuse them. But first, I want you to think about the old fable, the tortoise and the hare. All right, fables have morals. Morals are life lessons. And the lesson you learned from the tortoise and the hare is slow and steady wins the race. Now, that's not a lesson just for anyone running a race. That the life lesson is slow and steady. Some things in life you ought to approach and take slow and steady, right? And one of those things is reading big words, decoding big words like insufficient, right? Now, I'm going to invite the tortoise in here. He's going to show you that he's going to be very responsible. Take this slow and steady and say insufficient. He might make a mistake or two. It's a pretty hard word to read, and definitely not a familiar word for a lot of you. But if the hare comes along, the problem is a lot of young readers are like the hare. They're not going to take their time. They're going to, before I say go, you can see INS in the beginning. So when I say go, go. Anything can happen after that first syllable, INS. So that's what I want to take a look at. But before we do, which reader are you? Are you the tortoise or the hare? Let's compare. All right, the tortoise is going to take his time. So I want to advise you to be more like the tortoise than the hare. So let's see how these words can be confused. Here's insufficient. All right, if the hare comes to the starting line, on your mark, it said go. Insufficient. It's possible the hare might say insignificant. And there's a reason for that. I want to illustrate it for you. They're very similar words. They start the same. You see FIC in the middle, and they end the same. That ENT at the top, ANT down at the bottom, that vowel difference isn't a very big difference. We'll look at that in a few minutes, but it's pretty much similar. Now, down below, insignificant. Insignificant. How would you confuse that with the top word insufficient? Let me show you. There's an S in insufficient. There's a UF, not an IF, but a UF. There is an I, and also that ending CENT we went over. So it's a really similar word. Now, if the hare comes along and tries to read insufficient, watch what can happen. Some of those letters can move. And you see the gap between the S and the I up top? Your brain can do something called compensating. You can insert a letter or two. So I'm showing you a ghost IGN from down below, and suddenly insufficient looks like insignificant. Isn't that interesting? All right, so that you may have thought or even read insignificant. I just wanted to illustrate for you how that might happen up in your brain. And the big reason why is impatient decoding, taking it like the hare instead of the tortoise. Now let's look at the syllables real quick. Insufficient. It's a 4-syllable word. Down below, insignificant. It's a 5-syllable word, and the red is the stressed syllable, the one you say the loudest. Now let's look at the origin of these words. Where do they come from? Insufficient is an old Latin word. Insufficere. Insufficere. And the in is Latin for not. Sufficere is Latin for satisfactory. Now, what does that mean? Insufficere means not good enough. Now, to make sense of that, I want you to think of Ooh, my favorite ice cream cone, chocolate vanilla swirl, yum. If you wanted to get an ice cream cone that cost $3 and you had $3, that's good enough. You can buy it. But if you only have $2.50, that's not good enough. In Latin, they would say it's insufficere. Right? So that's an idea of where that word comes from. I'm going to take a pause since I'm talking about money and quarters. I'm going to show you a quick, easy way to count quarters. All right. Now, hopefully you know that quarters, there are 4 quarters in a dollar. And they're called quarters because 1 quarter is one of the 4. That's the fraction 1/4 or 1/4. Now, here's the easy way to remember how to count quarters. Are you ready? Once you get, if you can snap your fingers, get ready. Here we go. 25, 50, 75, $1. All right. 25, 50, 75, $1. 25, 50, 75, $1. 25, 50, 75, $1. 25, 50, 75, $1. 25, 50, 75, $1. You got it? That's how you count quarters. Now, back to insufficere. Let me get out of the way again. Insufficere over time became insufficient. It's a French word we use in English. See that C-I-E-N-T? Here's a spelling tip. Get a good look at that C-I-E-N-T. In French, it's pronounced insufficient, but we pronounce it insufficient. Right? Now this, you don't use this word very often, I'll admit, but you do see and use the word ancient. It has the same ending, C-I-E-N-T. Insufficient, ancient. Right? So for some reason, we pronounce that with a sh. Okay, so don't spell it with a CH. I'm sorry, don't spell it with an SH. It's a C because of the French. So insufficient means not good enough, not adequate. And we use that word at your age when we're talking about report cards. If your grades are insufficient, they're not good enough. It could be better. All right, now the root word of insignificant is also Latin, significare. And in Latin, significare means having meaning or important. Now, to make sense of that, I want you to think about things that are important in life, like healthy food, family, education. Okay, significare became significant in English over time, and that's the word we use that means important. Significant is another word for important, like education. So to make insignificant, we're going to put that Latin prefix in at the beginning. It means not. So insignificant means not important. And to make sense of that, I'm going to call, oh, speaking of Al's, hi, Al. You know, I have got quite an education myself, Al. In fact, I was just thinking the other day when I was 11 years old, I remember I took this spelling quiz, right? And I think it was on a Friday, like in February, late February. And I had to spell the number 8, and I spelled it A-T. What? Boring? Rude? I'm sorry. That's not important to you, Al? I'm trying to tell you about my education. That gives you an idea what insignificant means, right? These details, they're not important. The Al does not care. All right, let's wrap this video up here. I want you to get ready to read this phrase, and I want you to read it thinking of the tortoise, all right? Slow and steady, and I want you to hit pause when you see it to give yourself plenty of time, tortoises. What does this say? Hit pause. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel where you can find videos like this. There are over 50 at this point, and I make them for readers in 2nd through 6th grade, and even beyond 6th grade, and even before 2nd grade. And they are there to help you decode big words and also give you lots of spelling tips and helpful bits of information like counting quarters today. Mom or dad can follow me on Facebook at the Fluency Awesomeizer. There are over 200 fluency exercises just like these in my photos to keep you busy and awesomize your fluency. All right. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to see you next time. Come back.